one of the first things you need to figure out this semester is your plan for how you're going to get the grade that you want. And so, what we need to take a look at is both the types of assignments and the grading system. So, if you go in the top left corner and click on syllabus, and then online syllabus, and there's various ways to get to this, but essentially you want to find the grading and the types of assignments. It's also over here. It's kind of a repetitive system, but anyway. So let's take a look at the grading system first. You'll see immediately that it's 1,000 point system instead of 100. It's basically the same idea. It's just with some of the discussions, you've just got 5 points that you get, and if we were on a 100 point scale, we'd have to be dealing with half points, and I didn't want to deal with that. So we're on a 1,000 point scale, but it's very similar to what you would find, a 900 to a 1,000 is an A 900, is an A minus, where the 1,000 is an A plus. So, I mean, pretty much the same as the 100 point system, but what's different is that you get to build your grade, essentially. And the way you do that is by choosing the types of assignments you want to do and thinking about the point values that each one has. And so take a look at all the assignments that you can do this semester. You've got all these discussions that you should be doing throughout the semester. You can take the quizzes, you don't have to, and we'll talk more about that in class. And then all of you are going to be doing some sort of larger assignments. You could do a traditional type of selection here and do an annotated bibliography, research paper, and final. Or you can choose some of these different projects, or you could do a combination of them. It doesn't matter. If you click on any of these, what you'll find is an explanation and some examples. So take a look at all these, see what you're interested in, look at some of the models from past semesters, and that'll give you a good sense of the types of things you might do this semester, the types of things that you'd be interested in to build your grade. Okay, so you look at the point values, you add them up, and that's how you'll get your grade. I'll go through a few examples. So if you wanted to do a traditional approach, kind of doing the standard things that you would do in most English classes, you would want to do an annotated bibliography, so you're doing some research, maybe use that research to write your research paper, and then take the final at the end of the semester. Once again, you don't have to do any of these three things, but that's something you could do. Plus, let's say you did 400 points worth of discussion. That would possibly get you 1,000 points. Now, that's only if you got a perfect score on these things. So let's say you maybe didn't do so well on the final that you only got 100 points out of 150 points. That would drop you to a 950, which would be an A. And what you could do there, you could do an extra 50 points in the discussion, which would bring you back up to the A plus. Or you could do another project to build some points. You could do some of the quizzes. So even let's not assume that you're going to get a perfect score on these things, but and so you could actually add to the discussions or do something else. Another approach, those of you who are going to be teachers, you might want to think about choosing your assignments based on thinking about how you might teach. You might choose to do a lesson plan. You could do 2 lesson plans if you want. Any of the projects, not the traditional assignments, but the projects, you can do 2 of them, of any of them. So 2 lesson plans, 2 online projects. So you might make an online project that would help students because it adds information to a particular work that they could use as a resource. You could create a quiz, and be sure to read the directions there. That one can be a tricky one, but you could create a quiz that might be useful eventually when you're teaching, and it might tie into that lesson plan that you're doing. And then maybe you'll take some quizzes. But either way, you're thinking about you've got this goal of making the A plus and getting 1,000. And so you've always got to factor in, once again, maybe you don't do so well on one of the things. That would drop your score down to the 950 again. And so you would need to do some more discussion. Or maybe you would do another project. Or maybe you would take the final. Maybe you were just a little bit below 1,000, and so you walk into the final and score enough to get up to that 1,000 points. Another approach would be an online approach, doing more of the online projects. The book recommendation is online as well, so that's why I'm calling it online approach. But you can mix and match. You don't have to do any of these particular approaches. Now, a couple of caveats that we need to talk about. Mostly it's just a matter of just building your grade, but there's some things you have to do, mainly discussions. So in this scenario, you always have to have at least 300 points in discussion. And so let's say you only did 200 points. That's under that 300 point scale. So the highest that you could ever get would be a 900. So if you only did 100 points in discussion, the highest you could get would be an 80, or a B minus. And so you could do, and this isn't real, but you could have 1,000,000 points, but you're never going to get above that 800 if you've only done 100 points in discussion. Once again, if you had 250 points, the highest you could get would be a 950, even though you had 100,000 points. That's the highest you could get. 250, not 250. So the only other caveat is you need to show up for your conferences, and you need to turn in drafts, and you need to turn in something by the 2 due dates that we have. So let's say you didn't do that. Let's say you had that perfect score, but you didn't show up to some of your conferences, you didn't turn things in before the due date. I'm going to knock off 10 points there. So even if you had, once again, way beyond the points, let's say you missed several things, 5 different things, the highest you could get then would be the 950, which would just be the A. So that's not going to count off too terribly much, but it will whittle away at your ability to get that A+. So just be sure to show up to everything. Be sure to turn things in before the 2 due dates that we have, and you'll be fine, and you can get that A+ with the 1,000 points. Please send me questions, and we'll talk about all this more.